I'm not really sure what day it is anymore. There's no clock on the wall, no ticking reminders of time passing. Just a beige blur. This little apartment came with neutral tones, which is just a fancy way of saying the walls match how I feel inside, blank, muted, and numb. I've been here for 3 months now. Alone. Just me, a mattress on the floor, and a coffee mug with a chipped handle I haven't been able to throw away. Not because it's special, but because it's the last thing Ethan ever touched before he walked out of our lives for good. Ethan. God, even saying his name in my head hurts. He used to bring me coffee in bed every Sunday. Not because I asked, just because he knew I hated mornings. He was that kind of man. Thoughtful in ways I didn't even realize I needed. The kind of man people say doesn't exist anymore. And I had him. I had him completely. Heart, soul, every tiny corner of him that he only showed to me when the rest of the world wasn't looking, and I shattered all of it. There was a time when I believed love could survive anything. Fights, pain, tragedy, even death. But I was wrong. Because love doesn't always die from outside wounds. Sometimes it's the person who promised to protect it that becomes the reason it bleeds. The day we lost the baby, something inside me snapped. I didn't cry right away. Didn't scream or ask why. I just disconnected. I stared at the ceiling of that hospital room and listened to the sound of Ethan's voice trying to be calm, trying to be strong for both of us. But all I could feel was how empty I was. Not just physically. Emotionally. Spiritually. Like someone had cut the power and I was just waiting in the dark. He grieved, too. But he did it in silence. In quiet gestures, tucking my hair behind my ears, making me tea, running me a bath. I interpreted his silence as coldness. Indifference. But looking back now, I realize it was strength. It was him carrying both our grief when I couldn't carry anything at all. But instead of asking him to hold me, I pulled away. I blamed him for not falling apart with me. And then, I ran. Not physically, not at first. But emotionally, I distanced myself inch by inch, until one day, I wasn't his wife anymore. I was just a ghost in our house. And then I did the one thing he never thought I was capable of. I cheated and I kept that secret for a year. Until the day he finally saw everything, and destroyed what little was left of me. 3 years ago, my life felt like something out of a quiet, beautiful dream. I was married to Ethan, my best friend, my safe place. We had just moved into a cozy 2-bedroom house on the edge of town. I still remember how he painted the nursery walls a soft sage green, even before we knew the gender. It's calming, he said. Babies need calm. So do moms. He was already planning bedtime routines, baby names, even which lullabies he'd hum while rocking them to sleep. Ethan approached fatherhood like he approached everything else, with quiet certainty and heart. I, on the other hand, was terrified. Excited, yes, but also scared out of my mind. I grew up in chaos, in a home where love felt like a privilege you had to earn. So being pregnant, it felt like my second chance. That baby was my anchor. Proof that I could build something different, something safe. And then we lost it. No warning. No reason. Just one night in bed, a sharp pain, a rush of something warm between my legs, and then flashing red lights from the ambulance. The doctor said it wasn't my fault. That these things just happen. But that didn't stop the shame from sinking in like poison. I felt like I failed, my body, my baby, and Ethan. Ethan, bless him, tried to be everything I needed. He made every meal. Cleaned. Held me when I cried, even when I didn't want to be touched. But he never broke. Never let his grief show. And that, somehow, made me furious. How could he be so okay? While I lay in bed every night replaying the moment over and over again, he went to work, smiled at the neighbors, paid the bills. I mistook his steadiness for indifference. Friends suggested therapy. I smiled and nodded, but never went. The idea of sitting in a room and saying out loud that I'd lost our baby, it made it too real. Instead, I started disconnecting. Bit by bit. I'd stare at walls for hours. Forgot to eat. Pretended to sleep just to avoid conversation. That's when Liam popped back into my life. An old college friend. He texted me about some old group photo he found and we started chatting. Nothing serious. At first. He was funny, light-hearted, emotionally open. The opposite of what Ethan had become in my eyes. Liam didn't ask about the baby. He just made me feel like me again. I didn't intend to cheat. But one night, after one too many drinks, one too many feelings I didn't want to feel. I did. And the worst part? It wasn't even about Liam. It was about finally feeling something again. Anything. I told myself it was a one-time thing. A moment of weakness. An emotional glitch. I cried the entire drive home that night, turned off my phone, avoided Liam's messages, curled up beside Ethan and whispered, "I love you," like it could erase the filth I felt inside me. But the guilt didn't go away. Not completely. It just shape-shifted. And then I responded to one of Liam's messages. Just a quick, "Hope you're good," but that crack in the wall opened again. Before I knew it, we were talking more often. Nothing sexual at first. Just connection. Venting. Jokes. Shared songs. Safe little bubbles where I didn't feel like a broken woman mourning a dead baby and a dying marriage. And yes, eventually, it got physical again. Not often. Maybe 2 or 3 more times. I hated myself afterward, every time. But hating myself didn't stop me. Ethan, through all this, never changed. If anything, he got softer. He started cooking more, leaving sticky notes on the mirror that said things like, "You're stronger than you think." He even brought up the idea of trying again. "When you're ready," he said gently. And that's when the nausea hit. Not from pregnancy, from guilt. I had destroyed something so beautiful, and he didn't even know. He was building toward a future I'd already burned behind his back. I almost told him. So many times. Once over dinner when he was laughing about something our neighbor's kid did. Once when he kissed my forehead and said, "Whatever you're carrying, you don't have to carry it alone." Once when we made love and I started crying in the middle of it. But every time I opened my mouth, the words locked themselves in my throat. I couldn't lose him. Not now. Not when he was all I had left. Then one night, I left my laptop open in the living room while I showered. A message popped up from Liam. It wasn't anything explicitly damning, just one of those casual inside jokes that only make sense if you've crossed a line. I came out of the shower to find the screen closed. Laptop in the same spot. Nothing said. But I felt it in the air. Ethan didn't mention it. Didn't ask anything. He just kissed my forehead and said he was going to bed early. And then, slowly, he changed. He stopped asking how my day was. Stopped sitting close to me on the couch. Stopped texting me during the day like he used to. He wasn't angry. He wasn't cold. He was quiet. Calculating. Watching. I thought I got away with it. But I didn't realize he had already started unraveling everything. At first, I thought he was just tired. The days that followed felt like walking barefoot through shattered glass. He didn't yell. Didn't cry. Didn't demand answers. Ethan just stopped being there, even when he was physically in the room. The silence between us wasn't empty, it was thick. Full of all the words I never said and the ones he didn't need to anymore. I tried to fix it the only way I knew how. I cooked his favorite meals, left notes in his jacket pockets, even wrote him a 6-page letter, pouring out everything I couldn't say out loud. Why I broke. Why I cheated. Why I hate the woman I became. I left the letter on his pillow. He never mentioned it. One night, I came home from work to find 2 suitcases by the door. Ethan was folding a button-up shirt into one of them, the quiet, methodical way he always packed for trips. Except this time, it wasn't a trip. Are you going somewhere? I asked, voice trembling even though I already knew. He didn't look at me. Just kept folding. I need space, he said calmly. To feel like a man again. I blinked, stunned. Ethan, please don't do this. We can fix it. I'll go to therapy, I want to go. He zipped his suitcase with finality. Now you want healing, he said, finally meeting my eyes. When it's too late to save us. I stepped closer, desperate. Is there someone else? His jaw clenched. No, he said. Because unlike you, I actually value commitment. That hit like a slap. I felt it in my chest more than my face. I told him I had been grieving. That I felt broken. Lost. I told him I needed something to hold on to and made the worst mistake of my life. His expression didn't change. But his words cut deeper than any anger ever could. So was I, he said. But I didn't sleep with someone else to feel whole. And just like that, he walked out of the house. Out of my life. And this time, he didn't come back. Months passed. I kept expecting a knock at the door. A text. Anything. Instead, I heard from a mutual friend, one of those people who always talks like they don't realize they're dropping bombs. Did you hear? Ethan adopted a baby girl. My breath caught in my throat. What? Yeah, she said, sipping her coffee like she hadn't just detonated my insides. He always wanted to be a dad, right? He finally did it. Single parent and everything. I smiled politely, nodded, even said, that's great. But inside, I shattered all over again. Because I knew it then, it wasn't just me he left behind. It was the future he once dreamed of, with me. He didn't stop being a father. He just stopped believing I could be part of that story. That's what I told myself when he stopped reaching for me in bed. When the kisses grew mechanical. When I love you started sounding more like a habit than a feeling. Ethan was always an early riser. But now, he'd be gone before I even opened my eyes. Some mornings I'd find the coffee pot empty, no note, no smiley face drawn on the foggy bathroom mirror. Then he started staying out late. He'd say he was catching up on work or grabbing a drink with his brother. I didn't question him, how could I? Questioning his absence would mean inviting questions about mine. But it gnawed at me. The way he looked through me instead of at me. The way his touch had gone from warm to polite. And still, I said nothing. Because deep down, I knew. I knew he knew. It was in the way he listened. The silence he wore like armor. The slight pauses before answering when I asked simple questions like, how was your day? One night, he came home past midnight. I was sitting on the couch, pretending to watch TV. He was drunk, barely standing straight, but his eyes were laser sharp. Silent. Stone. I asked him where he'd been. He didn't answer. Instead, he pulled his phone from his pocket and placed it gently on the coffee table in front of me. The screen lit up. It was open to a folder. Titled simply, Her. Inside were screenshots of messages. Liam's name. My responses. Jokes. Photos. Email confirmations for a hotel I barely remembered booking. My mouth opened, but no sound came. I looked up at him, tears already spilling, throat closing. "I've known for months," he said, his voice so calm it scared me. "I just wanted to see if you'd ever come clean." My legs gave out beneath me. I dropped to the floor, sobbing harder than I ever had in my life. I tried to touch his hand, to hold him, to say something, anything. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Ethan. I didn't mean," but he stepped back. And then he walked past me. No yelling. No slamming doors. No dramatic exit. He just disappeared into the guest room and shut the door behind him. That was the last time I ever touched him. The last time he ever looked at me like I was someone worth saving. From that night on, we lived in the same house, but we were already strangers. And I knew, I hadn't just lost my husband. I had destroyed the only man who ever truly loved me. It's strange how quiet the world gets when you lose everything. No more beeping phone notifications. No more footsteps down the hallway. Just the hum of a refrigerator in a one-bedroom apartment that smells faintly of old takeout and lavender air freshener, because I'm trying to convince myself this place feels like home. It doesn't. I work 2 jobs now. Retail during the day. Hostess at night. Just enough to pay rent and keep my head above water. Some nights, I get home so exhausted I fall asleep with my shoes still on. Other nights, I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how different things would be if I had just talked to him. If I had said the hard things when they were still small enough to carry. I tried dating again. Once or twice. But it always ends the same. At some point, they ask, "So what happened with your ex?" And I tell them the truth. Or at least the version that doesn't make me sound completely broken. And their smile changes. Their eyes change. Because people forgive men for cheating. Women, we get labeled selfish, promiscuous, damaged. But I'm not in therapy to win people over. And I'm definitely not in therapy to get Ethan back. I'm there to figure out why I ran, from pain, from him, from myself. Ethan wasn't perfect. But he was good. So damn good. And I never blamed him for leaving. I blamed myself for giving him a reason to. What destroyed me wasn't what he said when he found out. It was what he didn't say. It was the look on his face, the heartbreak in his eyes, that told me I had ruined something sacred. That I had shattered a version of love I might never find again. And the worst part? There was no dramatic ending. No last kiss. No screaming match. Just silence. Just a door closing. Sometimes, on Sundays, I walk to the park near his neighborhood. I don't go there to spy, I just want to see if he's okay. Last week, I saw him. He was sitting on a bench under a tree, cradling a little girl with pigtails and a pink dress. She laughed so loud, it echoed across the grass. And he looked happy. Really, truly happy. I didn't go up to him. Didn't say anything. I just stood there for a moment, watching. And then I whispered, more to myself than to anyone else, "I hope he's happy. I hope that child gives him the life we lost." Because some stories don't get rewritten. Some endings are final. And some mistakes are so big, even your apology feels like a lie. So I'll ask you, have you ever made a mistake so big, you didn't just lose a person, you lost the version of you that they believed in?